command you. Go to the living lands.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Scotty YouTube channel. I'm back again, this time to discuss a game I've been playing a lot of recently. A game that came out last month called Avowed. Avowed was released last month, and like many of the games I review here, crept up on me. I only caught its availability a few days before the full release, but I thought it looked like a very interesting game, and one that I would like to cover here. So, with that kind of preamble waffle out of the way, let's just get started. I'll be breaking this one up into gameplay, story, and maybe a little bit on characters, before concluding with my overall thoughts at the end. So, let's just get into it. Let's get started with the gameplay then, and as I often do in these videos, let's start with graphics. I think it goes without saying at this point, and I mentioned in my Indiana Jones video the same, but any new game would have to run at a truly abysmal level for me to be anywhere near critical of it. Even Pokemon Scarlet, which ran terribly, I reviewed very positively because of the other elements of the game. So graphics aren't everything. But the graphics in this game are great. But they're also nothing less than you'd expect, and I really enjoy the visual style of the game. It's not overwhelmingly realistic, but is instead a bit unique and very easy on the eye, which I think helps a lot when there are a few more complex mechanics in the game that I will get to later. One set of mechanics that are not complex at all are the combat mechanics, at least not for anyone who played Skyrim or one of its many re-releases since its initial release in 2011. This to me is one of the best elements of the game. It has all the available options you want in your RPG, and the ability to switch between them freely as you desire. You can have arcane powers, melee weapons, ranged weapons to choose from, and the control scheme mirrors Skyrim delightfully. As a more casual player, like myself, this means it's very easy to pick up the game, and even after some big breaks between playing, I found I could pick it back up again quickly, which cannot be said for all games. As an example of the freedom of choice in this particular area, in my playthrough for this video, I had this strange hybrid build in which I used two-handed melee weapons but also the trusty bow and arrow, and each got me out of difficult situations within the game at different times. Leading on from this, the movement mechanics too are very fluid and easy to pick up. They are again similar to Skyrim, but actually offer more movement and parkour capability, which I imagine is simply the consequence of the game being released 14 years after Skyrim, more than anything else. The movement complements the combat really well. You feel like you're able to dodge and parkour around with genuine ease. And it also has this similar sneak mechanics that again allow you to vary your playstyle and avoid combat altogether should that be your preferred way to play. The complicated elements of the gameplay definitely lie within the stats and skills screens. Within this you have your D&D style base stats that you can set at the start of the game and upgrade as you go through items, training with companions, and also leveling up. These base stats increase things like movement speed, stamina, and other passive elements of the game as you level, that mean you stay for the most part on the curve of difficulty of the enemies without being too overwhelmed, but still enough of a challenge. These stats are not particularly complex, but I would be lying if I said I know, even after nearly 25 hours of gameplay, what I should have leveled to optimize my build for how I was playing. But isn't that also the fun of going in blind to a game like this? When I play through this game again, and I think I certainly will, it may be something I look up to try and theme my character into a specific build. The other complex element is the actual skills. Again, it's not really the skills themselves, but more just the sheer amount of options and choice you have. And the kind of difficulty you have when going in blind to a game like this to discern what skills are actually going to be useful to you and which ones aren't. For example, as part of my bow wielding build, it may have been helpful for me to discover an ability in the game that allows the player to go invisible and sprint past enemies until their next attack. I missed it completely on the screen until about 20 hours in, and it's pretty critical now, as I can position myself effectively before a fight, or even use the ability during to evade attacks and shift the aggro to my companions until I'm in a better position. Again, definitely not overwhelmingly complicated. That's definitely some exaggeration on my part, and viewers of my last few videos will note that I'm becoming more self-aware on that one. But it's definitely an element of the game that needs a bit more time and assessment, and when I play through again, I will take care to examine what's actually best for me in the build that I'm trying to go for. It's the same for my companions, who all have their own abilities also. I'm still not sure what to level for them, so in general I have been getting a point in everything where possible, just to see what of their abilities works best in combat, and if I notice something, then to direct my levels for them into that as well. Finally, from a gameplay perspective, I want to talk about the dialogue. This will lead us nicely into the next section on the story, but it's worth mentioning here how dialogue heavy this game is. Be very prepared to read, and I definitely wasn't for about the first 10 hours of this game, and it really impacted the decisions and outcomes I got. It turns out that trying to rush and complete this game for this exact video is not the optimal way to play, and is definitely one of the reasons why I will replay at a later date. I did feel it was worth a mention though that there is a lot of information to take in from NPCs, companions, notes, books, much more. It's well worth immersing yourself in so that you can make the most informed decisions that have and can have some serious consequences in this game. Lots of it is also a reference to lore and helps to build the world too, but at times it can just feel very overwhelming. Both good and bad. So with gameplay covered, let's talk about the story, starting with a bit of a background and the general premise, just to give you an idea of the plot without any spoilers. And if there are any things that come close to spoilers, I'll hint at them before I go. The game starts with your character being tasked by their emperor to investigate a place called the Living Lands, which is being overrun by something called the Dream Scourge. This is infecting all living creatures within the lands, humans, animals alike, and plants as well. The Scourge is making people here lose their minds. Animals turn aggressive across the landscape. Some outposts still remain, but each is battling to keep the Scourge at bay. Your character is a godlike, meaning you have some additional powers, but you're a unique godlike in the sense that you do not know what god you belong to and what god is giving you this extra ability and power. Your aim then is really to travel to the Living Lands and discover the source of the Dream Scourge and put an end to it. And maybe you will discover more about your god, companions, and yourself along the way. That was just a brief overview to give an idea of what the game is really about. But what I will say is the way that the game sets it up through the cutscenes, tutorial, and initial quests on your arrival in the Living Lands is compelling. The story over the course of the game takes you to very diverse environments and areas that not only look amazing but also give you exposure to different cultures and ideas within the world of the game. This offers you different perspectives, and each time will then influence how you play and what decisions you might take. With life in the Living Lands at stake, there aren't often higher stakes for a game than that. And all the other NPCs, companions, and characters are all fighting towards that same goal, but just with different methods and means. One device utilised by the game to share information and knowledge with you is through dreams. You are contacted often by a disembodied voice that you can converse with in your dreams that gives you valuable information and will often interact with you actually after quests, sometimes questioning your decisions or asking why you chose specific paths. I found this a really interesting and solid device for giving the player previously missed information, but also for getting the player to think about their previous actions and understand the other potential paths that could have been chosen. It's one of my favourite parts of the game because it aids the path of the main story so well, but also does this for side quests too, and that gives those side quests more depth and consequence, and also makes you really think about how you're playing the game. Ultimately, with any game that has this level of depth and is open world, you really need rewards for your diligence and exploration. And this game provides that also. Both through loot, but also through this key information that can be only acquired by investigating the world thoroughly. This, alongside the strong characters, gives the player a reason to keep playing, and a reason to divert from the main story to tackle these side quests. Ultimately then, the game's main strength is that it gives the player so much control over the story, but ultimately will also provide all the information to guide those decisions. See my note earlier about the dialogue heavy. The player, with all this dialogue, with all this information, can then choose to do what it wants with that information, with the information provided. Or it can choose to ignore it. The player can choose to ignore it. In my case, you can skip through it too quickly and not pick up on some significant hints that definitely had consequences. But as with any game of this size and amount of dialogue, the choices you make have consequences, both small and large. The final point I really wanted to make on the story is a pretty brief one, but I think that one of the things that this game benefits from is having a prior game with established lore that helps build the world. In this case, we're talking about Pillars of Eternity. Even though Pillars of Eternity is a different style of game, it acts as a base point for this story, and a point of reference that helps build the world behind the main questline. It's kind of the way I was trying to think about it when writing this script was, it's the same way that The Witcher has the books and the Skyrim has four prior games to do the same. Having that background lore and not having to necessarily establish it fully in this game allows you to just sort of present a game within that existing world. And that really provides clarity to the story that some games that are more one-off sometimes struggle to do. And they ultimately struggle to build their world. This one does not have that issue. And I really think that that's because it takes place in somewhere where, this lore and backstory has already been established, and you don't need to then use the story this time to re-establish it, if that makes sense. Overall, I have thoroughly enjoyed playing Avowed. Its familiar and comfortable gameplay combined with a compelling story and world have led me to invest many hours into the game, and put it firmly at the top of my replay list so I can try a different style and aim for different outcomes. Is it a game that in time will be considered a classic? Probably not. But does it need to be? Sometimes games don't have to be pioneering or unique, but instead just enjoyable, enthralling, and with strong core mechanics that make it easy to pick up and hard to put down. Avowed is absolutely within that category, and I am very happy to recommend it for that reason. At full price? Up to you. Well worth waiting for it to go on sale in my opinion, and picking it up then. But definitely a game that I would recommend choosing if you want to kill some hours and really enjoy an immersive RPG. Absolutely perfect for that. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Have you played Avowed? Have you not? Give me your thoughts on the video and also Avowed as a game in the comments below. I like to try and respond to as many as I can. Obviously, there was a lot of traction on the Kingdom Come Deliverance video, so I really appreciate you guys, recommending that I actually pick that game back up, and I think I will in time. And I'm also sorry that this video is slightly late. Work is kicking my ass a bit at the moment, so like I said in some of the comments on that Kingdom Come Deliverance thing, I'm making this as a hobby. This is just for fun, so I don't have full amounts of time to be able to commit to this, but I'm doing my best, and I really enjoy it, so hopefully you guys do too. And yeah, just let me know any feedback in the comments, is much appreciated, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed. That will really help me out and motivate me to keep going. So yeah, just take care of yourselves in this crazy world. It is getting increasingly crazy out there, so take care of yourselves and peace out.